Okay, so first thing we're going to do is solve each equation. And so first I combine my like terms. They're on the same side of the equation, so I just add them together to get 7b equals 14. And then I divide by 7 to get b equals 2. And that is my answer. Next, the first step is to distribute. So I get 4 plus 12x equals 100. Now I'm going to subtract the 4. So I want that to cancel out to 0. So I bring down my 12x, get 96. Last step, I divide to get x equals 8. Alright, so then our problem 3, we have a lot going on here. And so first I want to get rid of the parentheses. So my first step is that distribute. And so I carry down the negative x. This multiplies to be negative 42. And then negative 6 times 4 becomes positive 24x equals negative 157. Now I have some like terms. I have negative x plus 2x, and so that becomes just 1x. So I keep my negative 42 plus 1x equals negative 157. Then I add my 42 to each side to get my 1x equals negative 115. And I just realized I wrote down 2x instead of 24x, so we're going to correct that. So this was 24x. When we combine it with the negative 1, it becomes 23x. And so then this is 23x. We divide by 23 to get x equals negative 5. And that's the answer. Okay, so those are our solving equations. Next we have simplifying. And so to simplify, we're going to draw out our factor trees. There's not a lot of space here, so I'm going to draw out my 96 factor tree over on the side. So 96 divides by 3. I know those both divide by 3, so that becomes 3 and 32. 32, I know, divides by 2 and 16. 16 is a perfect square. It divides to 4 and 4. So anytime we find those perfect squares, we circle them. Those are our doubles that move to the outside of our parentheses. And then what's left over, which is my 3 and my 2, I multiply back together to go inside. So this becomes 4 square root 6. I multiply those back together. The doubles become a single outside. And so my answer for square root of 96 simplifies to 4 square root 6. For 8, 8's a smaller number, so it just goes to 2 and 4. 4 is that perfect square of 2 and 2. And so the doubles go outside, single stays inside. So 8 simplifies to 2 root 2. 45 divides into 5 and 9. 9 is that perfect square of 3. And so it becomes 3 root 5. Okay, so find the length indicated. This is all just that part plus part equals the whole. And so 23 is the whole. So I just do 23 minus 11 to find my answer of 12. And that's my answer. For the next one, 14 is my whole, so I just do 14 minus 9 to get 5. Alright, this next one is the same, part plus part equals whole. It's just now I have x involved. So again, this is my whole, and this is part, and this is part. So I just write my equation, x plus 19 plus 1, which are my two parts, equals 31 plus 2x. And so I combine my like terms to get x plus 20 equals 31 plus 2x. Now I need to cross my equals line, and so I'm going to subtract my x. So that becomes 20 equals 31 plus 1x. Then I need x by itself, so I subtract 31 to get negative 11 equals x, or equals 1x. So my answer is negative 11. So this is the same, part plus part equals whole. I just have to look here. Here my whole would be LMN, or NML. So NML, that's going to be my whole. And so they gave me the two parts. They gave me QML is 120. They gave me NMQ is 55. And so I just add them together to get my answer of 175. So you just have to look at which is the whole and you add up the parts. Or if they give you the whole, you subtract to find your missing part. Okay, so next we're just looking for a linear pair, which means they make a straight line together like these ones. So this is a linear pair. Vertical angles mean they're across each other from the x, so these are vertical. And it's not here, but adjacent is just any time you have two angles together, that would be adjacent. Technically, a linear pair is also adjacent. And so when we find the value of x, we just look at vertical angles. Angles equal each other. Linear pair equals 180. So they equal each other. 1 plus 2x equals 39. Subtract 1 to get 2x equals 38. Divide by 2 to get x equals 19. So linear pair is 4x plus 3 plus 4x plus 1 equals 180. And so I combine my like terms to get 8x plus 4 equals 180. Subtract 4 to get 8x equals 176. Divide by 8 to get x equals 22. So just remember the 180 vertical angles equal each other. Alright, so now we have all of our angle pairs when we're dealing with transversals. And so just a quick refresher, corresponding is anytime they're in the same spot. Alternate interior is anytime they're on alternate sides in between the two transversals. Alternate exterior, anytime they're on alternate sides outside of the two transversals. Same side interior is when they're on the same side and they're in between. Vertical is like we just saw at the top of the page. Vertical is just any time we have either side they're sharing a point in the middle. And adjacent is just any time we have two side by side. And so these ones we look at, they're on alternate sides. This is our transversal, so alternate. And these are our two lines that we're going in between, so they are outside of those two lines, so they're exterior. These ones, if we look at our transversal, they're on the same side. And these are my two lines, they are interior. So that is the labeling our angles. So then when we find the measure indicated, we just look at the shape of the angle helps us. This is an acute angle and obtuse angle. That is a linear pair, and so it equals 180. So I just do 180 minus 61 to get an answer of 119. Now I have x involved, and I look, this is obtuse angle, obtuse angle. Anytime we have alternate interior or alternate exterior, they equal each other. And so I'm just setting up 140 equals 21x minus 7. And then I solve. 147 equals 21x. Divide by 21 to get 7. Okay, next we're on to midpoint. Midpoint is very easy. The rule is we add the x's. So x1 plus x2 divide by 2, y1 plus y2 divide by 2. So this is my x1, y1. This is x2, y2. I add my x's, 4 plus 3 divided by 2. I add my y's, 4 plus negative 1 divided by 2. That gives me 7 halves and 3 halves. Or I could write them as decimal of 3.5 and 1.5. Alright, distance formula. This time it asks us to round our answer to the nearest tenth. So our distance formula is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And so again I label. And then I set up negative 2 minus 0 squared plus 6 minus negative 4 squared. I can simplify it from there, or I can choose to type it straight into my calculator. So in the calculator, we do the square root symbol by doing Control X squared. And then I type it in exactly as I have it on the page. So parentheses, negative 2 minus 0, close parentheses, squared, plus parentheses 6 minus negative 4, close parentheses, squared. Push enter and it gives it to me as 10.198 when I've entered it all in the calculator. It wants me to do the nearest tenth, so nearest tenth is this spot right here, and so the 9 makes it go up, so my answer is 10.2. So then, classifying, scaling by sides is all different. Isosceles is two the same. Equilateral is all the same. So I look at my side numbers, they're all different, so it is scaling. Next is classified by angles. And so angles, acute is less than 90. Obtuse is over 90. Right is exactly 90 degrees. And so I look at my three angles, and I have one right angle here. and so it is a right. Alright, measure of each angle. Remember, triangles, they add to 180. So this is just simple math. I do 125 plus 23 to get 148, and then 180, so I was adding those two, 180 minus 148 gives me 32. Okay. Here I just have to recognize the square means 90 degrees, so I do 90 plus 40 to get 130. 180 minus 130 equals 50. These are the same thing, it's just our x's involved. So remember, the right angle means 90, so I can write a big equation, 90 plus 50 plus x plus 44 equals 180. Or I can choose to go ahead and just add up 90 plus 50 plus 44 to get add them together and get 184. So then my simple equation is 184 plus x equals 180. Then I need x by itself, so I subtract 184, get x equals negative 4. Alright, next I'm going to do the same thing, is add all of those, so 9 plus 53 plus 76 to get 138, and this time I have 6x. So I have 138 plus 6x equals 180. So I subtract my 138 to get 6x equals 42. Divide by 6 to get x equals 7. So just remember, it's adding up to 180. That's the simple math. Okay. This one is exterior equals sum of two remote interior. So all I have to do is do 122 minus 52, because this equals the sum of those two together. And so that gives me 70 degrees. All right. Now we have that same rule, it's just exterior equals those two added together. So I have 15x plus 3 equals 29 plus 13x minus 8. And so first step is combine like terms. So I have 15x plus 3 equals 21 plus 13x. Now I'm going to cross the line, do minus 13x to get 2x plus 3 equals 21. Subtract 3 to get 2x equals 18. Divide by 2 to get x equals 9. So now we are to our determining congruence. So our options here are side angle side, so anytime we have two sides with an angle marked in between them. Side, 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 if we have all three sides marked for us. Angle, side, angle, where we have an angle, a side, another angle. Or angle, angle, side, where we have, again, two angles, but the side only touches one of them. Or HL, where we have a right angle, the hypotenuse, and a leg marked. And we look for vertical angles and reflexive sides. So vertical angle is this. Anytime we have the cross, I can mark those two angles congruent. So those are angles I can count. These ones that are labeled are angles I can count. These are sides I can count. So I have two angles in a side. That side never touches that angle, so my answer is angle, angle, side. Here I have a reflexive side in the middle. It's the same line for that side and this side. So here I have an angle, a side, an angle, angle, side, angle. So because the side touches all the angles, it is angle, side, angle. Here I have sides marked for me. I have those vertical angles in the middle, and so this is side, angle, side. And here I have that right angle, and I have the hypotenuse, I have a leg. Check the other one, I have my hypotenuse, and I have my leg. So this is HL. Alright, next is just complete the congruent statement. So I'm looking at the order of the letters here. It asks me for LK. So I can look up here and say LK matches HJ. Or I could look on here and say LK is the one with the two lines, and so HJ is the one with the two lines. And so that lets me match them up. Okay, our very last section is just translating and writing the coordinates. So this is saying x stays the same, y goes -1. So if I take G, x doesn't move because x stays the same, and y comes down 1. So now this is G, this is F, and this is E. And so then I just label my points for my new ones is -5, 2, -4, 4, -1, 3. Reflection across the y-axis. Z is already on that y-axis, and so Z stays the same. Y is currently up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, so I just go back 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is my y prime. So that is -4, 1. And x is currently 3 this direction, so I go 3 this direction. So x prime is -3 and down 4. And last one, 180 degrees about the origin means I take my paper, I flip it upside down, and I label. So M is now 3, 0. K is now 5, -1. And L is now 4 and -5. And so those are the points. I flip my paper back around and plot the 3, 0, 5, -1, and 4, -5. And I can see it looks like I've taken that and just rotated it around.